Hi, and welcome to the S.J. Childs Show. I'm your host, S.J. Childs. S.J. Childs Show brings value to families through education, resources, and lots of laughs. You can find us on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can also find our special children's books at sjchilds.org. Thank you for all of those who have hosted me on your podcasts. Enjoy the show. Hi, and welcome to the S.J. Childs Show. I'm your host, S.J. Childs, and today my guest is Stefanie Joseph. She is here in Salt Lake City, Utah, along with me. We're not in the same place, obviously, via Zoom, but hi, Stefanie. It's so nice to have you here today.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. I already feel like I've known you. Well, I think we have, but
right?
I've known you for so long, but it just feels so good to be here. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to talk about the services and programs that you have and just your views of both of our passions, parenting, and, how to do it better.
Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Where do I start? So I am a mother of 3 children. I have a 22-year-old, 23 now, bonus son. Then I have a 10-year-old little guy and an 8-year-old girl. And, I always knew as a child that I wanted to be a mom. And, when I went through my phases, went college and down that path and started a career and everything. And I even remember when I told my mom I was pregnant with my son, she said, wow. And I was like, what do you mean, wow? And I said, yeah, I'm pregnant. She said, I always thought you were just going to be my career daughter. And so it was like, for their whole childhood, really juggling this. I did have my motivations, but I wanted to be a mom. And around 2013, 2012 into 2013, I had my own individual awakening where I realized there's more to living. There's more to this conscious living. I call it the gateway. I watched The Secret and I'm like, wow, what is this?
Yes.
But through that journey and through over the last 7 years of realizing the gifts and the miracles that my children are to me and the teachers that they are to me. And I'm really big on understanding, patterns and conditioning and programming that we receive throughout our lives. And either I'm at a point, do I want to repeat some patterns that served me, or do I want to really shift into more of a conscious parenting role where we're co-creating? Yes, we're creating boundaries and we have, those types of things, but they're my biggest teachers and I don't want to mess it up. Really is where I'm at.
No, and I think that you and I are like twins separated at birth or something because we have the exact same, a 20-year-old, 11-year-old, 9-year-old, exact same scenario. And it is so telling of how we were talking before of the lessons learned by our first children and the lessons now ensuing into our other children and how much more flexible we've become.
Yes.
How much more open we've become to just learning how to be a better conscious parent.
Yeah, well, it doesn't come overnight either. And that's actually something that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, in 2013, had this and I started studying and researching and all of this stuff and just being in it and kind of, okay, whatever I get to learn, I learn. And I am a full believer, the things and the people come into your space when you're ready for them. You open up your space for that, just to bringing the right people in. And in 2018, I was talking with some friends and I was talking with a friend and, she said, if you could do anything right now, what would it be? She said, the first thing that comes to your mind, your heart. And I said, I want to write my kids' journal. She said, what's stopping you? And I said, I actually do not know what's stopping me. And so that year I just truly surrendered and I created a children's journal. At that time, I didn't know what my business was. I've been a serial entrepreneur for 6 years, 5 years at that time, figuring out what my purpose is and all of that good stuff. And it was the first time in a long time where I really just created from a space of love. Like,
Yeah.
there's no expectation of this thing. And it was what, for me, what it was is it's called Through My Heart and Eyes, a daily journal for kids. And it was a space that they really could just write about their emotions, their feelings. It's theirs. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't even have my name on it. The front of the cover is written by me from the kids' perspective, because I just feel like we didn't, especially in traditional school system, it's, here's what you have to learn. This is the time frame you have to learn it in. You get tested on it and all that. And I just didn't feel like kids had an outlet. I love journaling. Why can't my kids have that outlet as well? And so I ended up publishing it in October, and just knew that it is eventually going to serve, but I don't know in what capacity. My initial thoughts was, let's get it into hospitals, let's get it into nonprofits. Like, that's really where I see it finding a home. But that was like the beginning part of just saying, okay, I surrender, whatever. And that was a piece. And it also, what it did for me, it reminded me that I can have a business that's not just around making money, and it has to have an expectation of profit. It's just, get this thing out there. Somebody needs it.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. When I started writing my children's books, it was a hobby so that I could, excuse me, so that I could tell my daughter, it's okay that you have a physical difference just like me. I'm okay. And when you go out into the world, you can just be proud of who you are, for how kind you are, how many friends, friendships that you make, or just for being a good person. And you don't have to worry about being different or having a physical difference, because those aren't the real important things in life. And it just, like you said, it blossomed, it grew its own legs, it took off, and it included 6 other books with it.
It picked him up along the way.
Exactly. It said, grab all this rest with this knowledge. But like you said, it took 7 years to do them all. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't a wake up. And when you say awakening, yeah, it takes months to work on yourself and to be in that place. When you do first hear The Secret, you're just like, I'm in. That's it. I'm done. But you have to do the work. You still have to do the work. So
yes. And what I found when I was writing the journal, because my kids were a few years younger, obviously, and I invited them into this space, and I invited them, like, how does this feel? And so there's some pages where they get to explore their emotions. There's a page where they get to write a letter to somebody and physically cut it out and send that letter off. And what I was, finding as a parent, like, I have the scholastic, the teachers teaching them math, science, all of that. Who's teaching them about their emotions? Who's teaching them about anger and sadness? And, they would come home and tell me their stories, and they're learning about bullying. And I said, that's great. I'm so grateful they're teaching that. But there's hurt, just because I remember being taught, the sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can't hurt. No, they hurt.
Yeah.
And how are we letting our kids really process those emotions? And we struggle as adults as we are. If we can start younger with them, of allowing them to really process those emotions, how much better would our society be? And our support for them.
100%. Tell us about what type of maybe advice you might give to a family that just wants to start out by becoming better at, raising their kids.
The thing that's coming up is talk to them. And I know that sounds so simple, but I know for me personally, I'll just speak that nobody gets a manual to parenting, right? We get this manual based on how we were raised. And
that's what we're doing here. We're creating some ideas.
So, I know I was like, I'm the parent, you're the child. Well, yes, that's true. Ish. I won't get into that. That's a whole nother conversation. You, as a child, have a say, right? Yes. But we forget that they actually know how to use words, or that if they're acting out, or if they're reacting to a situation, it doesn't actually necessarily mean they're being naughty or being bad. They don't know how to explain that they're hurting.
Yes.
And so just really getting to their level. I had one beautiful story with my son. He was going to bed, and he says, Mama, are you okay? And I said, yeah, buddy, I'm okay. And he's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And normally I would have just walked out, but Spirit like just said, just talk to him. And I said, well, what's going on? And he said, I feel grandpa. My father has passed. And he just started crying. And he said,
Oh,
by him asking me if I was okay, he was essentially asking permission for me to ask him, but he didn't know how to say, I'm kind of hurting, Mom. I'm just feeling
yeah.
sadness. And I walked out in tears. We're both in tears when I
Yeah.
walked out. Like, I was just super present. And am I always present? No. And I'm giving myself grace when I'm not. But that moment I was present and I just talked to him.
Yeah.
So that would honestly be my number one. And it's so simple, but yet we forget.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I always like to, like I said, now with my two younger children, really allow them the space to have a bad day, to be grouchy because they didn't eat in on time or something, like, and help them move through that and understand why those things are going on, but don't get over it. Don't go rub dirt in it or whatever, the old adages that we heard a long time ago. And so I think now we're really moving our emotional support towards our children in such a more important way, and even just by having those simple conversations. A great way that we kind of give some of our autism families way to connect with their kids is to find that one interest that those kids have. It doesn't matter if you don't like Minecraft. Suck it up. You're an adult. Like, get over yourself. Spend 10 minutes having them teach you what they love. And those bonds of trust that form are incredible and can help them then come to you when they do have emotional questions or issues. When you have that, give them the idea that they are just as important and their interests are important and ideas, then they'll want to share more with you when you have that respect for them.
Yeah, and that was an underlying thing that I didn't realize when I was creating the journal was I'm like, I was actually having a conversation with a friend and they're like, you're teaching them to be able to speak about their emotions. And she said, imagine if a child has something happen to them, they don't know how to say, and they can just say, here, Mom, can you read my journal today?
Mm-hmm.
And then that can open it up. Then you can be, the adult with the years of experience to be able to say, okay, now what's next? I just got full chills.
I love it.
Teaching them to feel comfortable enough to speak about what's going on.
Absolutely.
And that is, yeah.
It is huge. And, for families, journaling is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I love that you've created a book in just a physical form of doing that. And, journaling, yes, can be done by writing words down, but it can also be done by drawing pictures. It can
Yes.
also be done by writing a song, creating music. There's so many different avenues that you can do journaling in. And so I just love that is an important piece for kids. And yeah, you can't rely on the schools and the teachers to teach your kids emotional well-being.
Yeah, absolutely.
You really have to just do it yourself. And now there's, more and more resources out there. There's more podcasts to listen to. There's, more information. And it's easier now than 10 years ago when I was searching for counseling centers to take my oldest to. And, I felt like back then it was like we were just always getting sent to the same place. And it just continued. It repeated its own cycle for years and years and years, and there was never a solution. And that's so frustrating when I look back at it and think, wow, I wish I would have had a better perspective, right? Because we could have addressed things a little bit differently. But it all started with that emotional intelligence that she unfortunately was not given as a child early on, and still to this day struggles to have her own voice and to stick up for herself and things like that. So yeah, it's important that you do it now when they're young.
Well, and this again, another full conversation about, the brain development of children. I love
Yeah.
following Joe Dispenza's work. He's a chiropractor that talks about that,
Mm.
those 7-year cycles of the brain development. And it was so fascinating when I like the 0 to 7, they're like in this almost reality, like another reality state, and they absorb all that, like they're taking in, right? Senses, like sound, touch, everything, just absorbing it. And I feel like memories and trauma and good, bad, all
Yeah.
memories are stored in ourselves. And especially like you think child, they're still like, well, is this real or is that real? And just juggling what that is. And
So true.
just again, allowing them to be able to process the emotions and not just say, why can't a child have a bad day? Why can't a child have a bad morning or whatever? And
Mm-hmm.
we have a song in our house it's PP, it's up to me. And it came from pausing and pivoting. So
Mm.
pausing when I'm having those moments, and then pivoting and choosing which direction I want to go. And I
Yeah.
told them, you have the choice. You can pause and say, nope, I want to continue to feel this way, and pivot and move in that, or you can pause and pivot, choosing something else. So they sing it. It's like PP, it's up to me, and we get like a whole big with it, and
Yeah.
but it's teaching the pause. You have the journaling as an outlet, and then another tool is just teaching them a pause.
Yeah.
That when we're feeling those emotions, I can take a break, 3 breaths, take a
Yeah.
break, and just say, is this really how I want to be? And obviously there's other layers to it, but the simple of it is, this really how I want to choose to be reacting to this situation, or am I making a choice to pivot? And it's totally up to them. And then if
Yeah.
they choose the other way, you just let them keep doing that thing until they're ready. But
Yeah. Natural consequences are such a great, learn way for kids to learn. And it's great that we have rules and strict whatever guidelines and everything, but at the same time, those can be more damaging than good. They can, we let our daughter, she goes to homeschool, and she's so good. Sometimes she'll sit down and we'll do like 3 days of work in a half a day or something, and she just really wants her days off, so she's willing to put in the hard work to get it. And that's great, because she's learning, if she works hard, what the payoff is. And we totally allow that. Well, she also, during the time where she had days off, and it was so cool because it's a Thursday and I don't have to do schoolwork, um, and she said, oh, I want to stay up all night long. And we told her, well, if you do that, you will miss out on all the day's activities because you'll be asleep. You'll be awake when everyone else is asleep. And so you'll be alone in the house, basically. And, this, and that. And I said, but it's your choice. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that I told my oldest daughter you could never do that, and she always did it, probably. And
yeah,
so I'm trying it the opposite way here, and it did. We did. It did. She did do it, and she did it for about a week or two, actually, and we really started to miss her and thought, oh my gosh, this is horrible. What have we started here? But the cool thing is that she came to us and said, okay, I get it. I've been up all night. The sun is out. I don't even see it. I don't like this. And
no,
we're like, no. And now now it's not I don't have to tell her what time bedtime is. Now she wants to go to bed on time because she wants to wake up and be with us the next day and have fun and do all the things that we do all the time. But it was that, and it's okay, she's 9. It's not like she's not going to go to college because I let her stay up a couple nights in a row. It's not detrimental. Yeah, it probably wasn't great for her health and her growing for those few days either, but that is also her natural consequences. That is for her own body to be able to process and to decide. And now she knows at such a young age that that's not right. That's not a good thing for her. And I love that. I never, like I said, that never would have happened with my oldest, because it would have just been my rules are the highway, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're the parents, right? We know everything that needs to do. It's like
Yeah.
I saw an article about like hover parenting and how that's really truly hurting our children
Yeah.
because we're not allowing them to experience, we're not allowing them to be a creative. You know, we have all of our devices that keep them engaged, and this
Yes.
might have them as
Yeah.
well, but it's about, you know, we set the time and go outside and play, and I don't care if
Exactly.
you're bored. I was bored for the first 10 years of my life, but
Thank you.
I found things to do. But just having that, like, yeah, giving them the freedom to a point, and understanding, like, and like explaining. I love that you explained the process, and here's the potential consequences that can happen by this choice that you make. You're not hurting anybody, so we'll support the choice.
Yeah.
But, and then for her to realize it on her own, that's so cool.
I know it's so nice. And I just, like I said, I think that she'll definitely be like the lawmaker or something someday. She's just is just so planning everything all the time. There's always a plan. So that's really cool. I'm very spontaneous. So for me, I'm just like, oh, I can't plan that far ahead.
I love it.
Go ahead, write it down, but I can't do that, you know? It's so great. But yeah, we have to just support their special needs, and not special needs. That's funny that I would say that, but their special circumstances and their desires and things, but by guiding them.
Yeah, the word that's coming up is, you know, awareness. And that's like
Yes.
when I talk conscious parenting, it's about being conscious in my parenting.
Yes.
Instead of just being on autopilot. And this speaks for me too. As a, you know, as a mother, there's times where I do get in that autopilot mode in my own life, where I have projections that come out. Like I start punishing them for things that I, you know, under deep down, that it's like I need to be taking accountability for what I'm doing right now. And it's just really about being conscious in the moment with them, and you know, but giving yourself grace as well. That, you know, you're gonna screw up. I had a huge realization a couple years ago that I'm like, I'm going to screw up my kids no matter what, right? There's going to be something that they're going to hold on to from their childhood that they get to work through as adults. We all have it.
Right.
And, you know, I love Brene Brown. She's like, you know, everybody's doing the best they have. The best they can do with what they have right now.
Exactly.
Just having more of that awareness around it, and consciously parenting versus just autopilot.
I love that. And, you know, I love that my husband has a great analogy about like our oldest, for example. He said, you know, we are the bow and she is the arrow. And we as the bow, we can be perfectly crafted and just amazing, all of these things. But once we shoot that arrow, if the air changes, if a rock flies up in the way, there is nothing, everything is out of our control at that point. Wherever that arrow lands and flies is its own place to be. And I love that because we can project our children into all kinds of places, but really where they end up is where we should be supporting them all the time.
Yeah, that is a perfect analogy. That got to my heart.
I love that. I know, he's brilliant. Oh, absolutely. I'm so happy that we connected. We're going to have to do another episode for sure, because I know we have way more to talk about.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
And yes. I'm like, we could talk about this.
Parenting part 2. Yep.
I'm game.
We'll set it up for sure.
And absolutely game.
We'll go over some more topics, because I think that we both are on the same level of just conscious parenting, like you said, and just being there in the moment. And giving yourself grace, and also realizing you are going to have those moments when you're on autopilot. I love that you're so honest and vulnerable about saying that and showing your mistakes as well. Because when we teach our kids that mistakes are great because they're the next process of learning, they don't feel so bad about their mistakes anymore. And they can start to understand that it's, you know, you're bummed out that you made it, but it doesn't have to ruin the who that you are, or, you know, ruin it into your whole day or anything like that. Like you said, maybe pause and pivot to go into a new direction from there. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And for me, like I can have conversations day in and day out with zero expectations. And that's why when I saw your post, I was like, yes, like let's talk more about tools and know that you're not alone. Like I could talk about, postpartum depression and all these things. And what I've learned over my, time of being a parent is that we get to talk more.
Yeah.
We get to share stories more. We get to we've lost. I was actually watching a TED talk about depression, and this man traveled the world and talking to a whole bunch of physicians and in holistic medicine, in traditional Western medicine, and he said we're the first society of our time. Think back of when whatever your beliefs are around man getting here, but that we've separated ourselves from tribe, separated ourselves from that connection, and there's people just feeling alone. And if I can just offer you, you're not alone. And I never want anybody to feel that way. And you have a community, a tribe, let's keep the conversations going, because that's when we really start realizing, okay, I'm not alone. And I love what you're creating with it as resources. Because I'm a master Googler. We talked about it before. I'll find what answers I need.
Exactly.
And I forget that it's sometimes not as, or you don't know what you're looking for. And so I love that you're creating this.
Thank you.
Because it's really important.
Well, and I get to meet amazing people like you who just bring it all together, really, Stefanie, just really fill in this whole space and make it what it is. So thank you so much. I honor your time, and we're just going to be texting or emailing quite often, I have a feeling. So
I'll be on here quite a few. Okay,
definitely.
Let's do this.
I agree 100%. No, we'll definitely be keeping in touch. I really appreciate your time and all of the great information. So thank you so much. Is there a website, or do you have a Facebook page, or where we could find the journal, anything like that?
Yes, you can go to stefaniejoseph.com, and it's Stefanie with an F, traditional Joseph spelling. And there's a way to get it as a downloadable. So there's a way to do that. And then I do have physical copies of them. And if anybody knows of an outlet to get these out, to be able to see them online. But I really want to see them with children. They're hurting and in hospitals and nonprofits. And I'm just trusting that, the right avenue will come.
And maybe like intake centers or something, like those kinds of places would be really, really good places for that. I'm going to think about that. You got my brain going.
This is not of my, I just, we get the printed up paid for and we're good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. No, we completely, I think will be great companions in the future to work things out and help parents to feel that they're not alone, and that they find a parenting group, reach out to Stefanie or I, and you're always welcome to join any of the groups that we belong to. And I know that I myself have the autism advocacy support group. If any of the members or anybody has anybody with autism and they need more support, so please, always reach out for support. There's more people out there that want to help than not.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll give a shout out. I created a community a few months back. It's called The Courtyard, and it's the idea of joining in the courtyard together. And
I love that.
Having conversations and collaborating with other people that really want to raise the vibrations of our world. And
is that on Facebook also?
On Facebook, Perfect. You can search for The Courtyard collaboration. You'll find it, and I can give you a link.
I will have all of those links down in the description and everywhere so that you can find this, get a copy of that journal, get it into the local school that or a church group, or just any type of family setting that you think it might be valuable, because this is how we're going to help our next generation be better, and better. So thank you so much for your time. It was so great to have you here. My soul is hugging you.
I know.
Totally. Yes. Oh, great. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon, Stefanie.
All right.
kind of guy that keeps you warm at night when you are cold. I'll grab some blankets from my bed, wrap them around your chest, and I'll pull you close. We'll flip some channels to find out there's nothing on right now to ease your mind. Sit back, relax, there is no rush, no need to speed things up. All we have is time to think about the future, forget about the past. Time to figure out a way to make this moment last, to make this moment last, to make this moment last. So let's make this the kind of love that we've been dreaming of when we sleep at night. We'll get a little house to live in, have a couple kids, and we'll sleep tight. Cause baby, all we really need are just a couple things to stay alive, and everything else in between. Just trust my heart, you'll see we're slowly coming. Time to think about the future, forget about the past. Time to figure out a way to make this moment last, to make this moment last, to make this moment last. Sunrises, sunsets, I won't let you forget that I need you. Spring comes as spring goes, forever you will know that I love you. Sunrises, sunsets, I won't let you forget that I need you. Spring comes as spring goes, forever you will know that I love you.